up, guys? I am Sarah Garvey, and welcome to the People's Opinion podcast. Guys and girls, right? Everyone that is tuning in right now, what I want you to do is to keep sharing. Share, like, subscribe, share this, because this one today is gonna be a powerful and a very interesting one today. Today, we're gonna be talking about the Arab-Muslim slave trade. Now, the reason why I want to speak about this today is because I am of the opinion that slavery gets spoken about a lot. However, what doesn't get spoken about is the slave trade that still actually goes on today. And that slave trade that still actually goes on today is the Arab-Muslim slave trade in regards to Black people. We've spoken for years and years about the European Christian slave trade and what it done to Black people and what Black people's involvement in it was, from what they weren't, how long it went on for. But I'm of the opinion that people are scared of this one. And wherever I find people scared to speak about something, I normally go in there. So seeing as this is the people's opinion, I'm not even here by myself. I've actually got some people here, or at least one person. I've actually got Ben here with me today. Ben actually studied, or does his old study, about the Arab-Muslim slave trade and Islam in general. Introduce yourself, Ben.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ben. Ben Israel Reports. You can find me on Instagram. And yes, I've been doing a lot of research on this, bits and pieces, even going back from about 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And very recently been doing a lot more research, because there was quite a few people that put me on some information, and it was even some Muslims, Black Muslims, even Arab, that put me onto this information, and some people who left the religion.
Apostates.
Yes, apostates, due to having a good moral conduct. You know, they said that this is not something they wish to partake in.
What, the ideology of Islam?
Yes, and there's like a lot of racist, ideologies within this. So, for example, some Black Muslims, when you speak to them, they will say that all Black people is equal under this religion.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look
I've
at
heard that.
places within the Middle East, they really despise Black people. And just from the beginning of the history, it's not very good for Black people.
We're actually going to get into that. But before we do, right, I'm going to ask you, why do you think this specific slave trade is not spoken about generally amongst Black people?
I think it's for a reason where, for example, in Africa, especially West Africa, you have a lot of people who are Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
When you look in some countries, specifically like Nigeria, I'd say Senegal and Gambia, they have a more relaxed version of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And they're somewhat more tolerant, and they're nice people. I have some of them as my friends. But northern Nigeria, they're willing to use force and to kill people. They're snatching girls.
Do you think people are scared?
Oh, yes, they're very scared.
Do you think Black Muslims are scared?
Yes, Black Muslims are scared, but many of them are cowards. And many of them, some of them know, some of them don't know. But what they've done is they've placed the Arab Muslim higher than Black people.
I actually agree. I've spoken about it. Go on,
Yes.
continue.
And the thing is, so some people, they will say that this is not an Arab religion, and they go into like a lot of spookism and, it's from God, it's this, it's that. But when you look on ground level, their prophet, which many don't even know if this man existed or not, but the prophet is an Arab, the language
white
is
one.
Well,
that's what the Hadith say.
Well, yes, Hadith does say like the whiteness of his armpit,
whiteness
whiteness of his shin. It mentions it about 8 times.
They mention his whiteness consistently.
So many times. It's unbelievable. But when you look at an Arab prophet, the language is Arabic. The region is Arab.
The culture is.
Yeah, so many things is Arab. So I'm saying, how much more Arab could you get? Do you want them to write in capital letters in bold to say Arab?
Do you know what I find interesting? I find it interesting that, like during the time where Black Americans, or let's say African Americans, could speak and white people would be really like impressed. Oh my God, he can speak so well.
Yeah.
Look at that Negro can speak so well. What I've seen is the same thing within Islam. When
Yes.
a black person speaks Arabic, the Arabs are like, oh my God, you speak Arabic really well, don't you? And it's like the exact same type thing.
Same thing. You see, this is a problem because what they're saying, it makes no sense. So, for example, they've colonized Sudan. In the north, they're more Arab descent with a little bit of like black mix, African blood mix. In those regions where the culture is totally wiped out, most of it, the language is Arabic. When you go to places like, I believe it's Chad, they would speak Arabic. When you go to places like Mauritania, I think some of them would speak Arabic.
I think Mauritania is actually interesting to me because they only outlawed slavery in 2007 in Mauritania.
Well, I believe they outlawed it, but it wasn't necessarily a crime, and people weren't necessarily getting prosecuted anyway. But if you start doing the research, it's around 20% of the people who is still enslaved.
That is what is said by, I think it's UNESCO. UNICEF as well.
Okay, yes.
I think there's a few organizations that actually, they contend that 20% of the population of Mauritania, the black population, which is a country in Africa for those who don't know,
and they're black, and the majority
are actually descendants of slaves or still actually in slavery.
Yes, because you have a lot of the Arab Muslims in the north, and they have a lot of black slaves there today. And they're also snatching different ethnic groups from northern Mali. So some ethnic groups that you'll find that is related to Senegalese people and Gambians. So in some of these 3 or 4 countries, they have all the same kind of ethnic groups, but they're snatching them from northern Mali.
Interesting. I've actually said to people that Arabs know that their religion is racist. They actually know that it's racist,
they do.
Right? They know it's racist. They know they have a problem with the racism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video. I'm going to play a video for the people, for you, and we're going to actually talk about the fact that they actually know. Listen to what this woman says. Jesse, can we get the first video, please?
Racism against Black Muslims in our community. Because while Islam isn't racist, Muslims can be. Islam outright rejects racism. It teaches justice and equality. And interestingly enough, it does so without being colorblind. The Quran shows us that diversity is a good and positive thing. Diversity is a sign from God. God says in the Quran that He has made us into nations and tribes. Why? So that we may know one another. And God continues by saying, do you know who's the noblest in the sight of God? The one who's most pious. Not the whitest, not Arabs, the most pious. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is reported to have said that there's no difference between an Arab and a non-Arab except in piety. The Prophet is said to have corrected people.
Ben, what did you think about
that? So she's playing like takia.
What's takia for the people that don't know?
Takia, it's like where they lie. So I know there's 3 types. I think it's about 3 types of lies they can do. But like, there's things like where they might lie to their enemy so that they can be saved, or they can lie to
the kuffar.
Yes, basically. So what the lie that she is saying is that some Muslims can be racist towards black,
but the religion
isn't. So this is a lie, because especially like most of my, you could say critique, if you want to call it that, is more so predominantly Sunni Islam. Because you have Sunni, you have Shia, and you have many other sects. So why am I saying Sunni Islam? In Sunni Islam, they have certain hadiths which they predominantly follow. Now, when you look at especially Sahih, Sahih.
What does Sahih mean?
It means genuine or authentic.
Right.
Sahih.
I'm saying this, I know, but the people that
to see if
the people that are watching, they may not know.
Yeah. So when you look in Sahih and other places.
Sorry, stick a pin there.
Yes.
The reason why I'm saying this is because most people think that Islam is just the Quran.
Yeah, it's not the Quran. So what is
Because
especially
when you're saying that in Sahih, a lot of people don't know what Sahih
yeah,
is.
so they might try and Google Quran
right,
and Sahih.
Quran, and
It
looking
wouldn't
for
come
something,
up.
it
Yeah.
wouldn't come up. So Islam is the Quran and the Sunnah.
Yeah. So what is in Hadith? So some Shias don't agree with parts of Hadith that that Sunnis believe in, but Sunnis believe in, you know, like Sahih, and there's many other books.
Sahih Muslim,
Yes, Sahih al-Bukhari, all of that.
Al-Tirmidhi.
And that's it. So when you look in these books, you find some racist things about black people.
Mhm.
So you find where, for example, Mohammed traded 2 black slaves to redeem an Arab.
Let's prove it.
Okay.
Jesse, let's prove that. The third slide there, actually, I think it shows, and we can actually read it. No, third slide, not the video.
Oh, slide.
Yeah, if we go to the slide, I think it's the third one.
You know, I learned that from Bob.
Really?
Funny enough. Yeah.
We'll talk about that, actually. Put that one up, please, Jesse. Let's see if it's that one. I can't read it. What does it say? What does it start with, Jesse? I'll read it off my phone.
The came a slave.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the one. So I'll read it. Leave it up there for a sec, and we'll get to it. Hang on. For the people that are reading it, it's good that they are. So there came a slave and pledged allegiance to Allah's apostle on migration. He, the Holy Prophet, did not know that he was a slave, and then there came his master. So basically, there's a slave or a man who's now pledged his allegiance to Muhammad. So Muhammad's like, okay, cool, pledge your allegiance. However, another man's come along and said, hey, that's my slave. And it says now he came and his master demanded him back. Whereupon Allah's apostle said, sell him to me. And he bought him for 2 black slaves. And he did not afterwards take allegiance from anyone until he asked them whether he was a slave or a free man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jesse.
So if we can just touch on that a little bit. So what this is showing you the currency that 1 Arab was equal of 2 blacks.
That's right.
Right? Now, when they're coming up with this whole equal or equality thing, it's not. It's
They
just
didn't
not
live that way.
Yeah,
Muhammad
they didn't
live this way.
Yeah, because this is Hadith.
This is
and
it.
which Hadith is this again? Does
This
it say the exact?
This is actually it's in a few, but this is Sahih Muslim 1602.
Exactly. So Sahih is authentic and genuine for Sunni Muslim. I think what's happening a lot of the time though, because I've seen this in a park. So when you have people bringing out these hadiths, automatically now they throw it under the bus.
So they're throwing their own writings under the bus.
Yes, and saying that it's not authentic when Sahih means authentic.
It means authentic. Yeah. And for the people that don't know, okay, when we are saying this, there will probably be a lot of Muslims who would say that it's not authentic. However, when you look at the scholarship of Islam are the ones who categorize these hadiths or the Sunnah. Now, some people say that no. Can you find it in the Quran? And this is what I say to that. If a Muslim says to me, can you find it in the Quran? I know that the conversation is going to go south, because what they're essentially doing is starting the conversation with a lie. Because my rebuttal is, but we know that Islam is not just the Quran, don't we?
Yeah.
Now, most people don't know that Islam is not just the Quran. Why do Muslims pray 5 times a day? The Sunnah. That's where they get it from. They get it from the Hadiths. Why do they pray the way in which they pray with all of the rituals that they do?
Yeah.
They get it from the Hadith. So people have to understand that Islam is not just the Quran, it is also the Sunnah.
Yeah. Another thing is, so there's a guy that I've been watching a lot. His name is Apostate Prophet. I don't know if you know of him.
Yeah, I've heard of
Turkish
him.
guy.
I've seen him. Yeah. Well, not seen him, but
so he's actually read a thing in the Quran actually where it's giving you the clue that not all people are equal. Where it says, are all people equal? Then it says the free for the free, the slave for the slave. Not all people are equal. So that's where it gives the first clue. So there's many things actually, when you study it properly, it does give you a slight clue. But when you go into the hadith, it expands.
It expands upon it.
On that. Yeah.
talking about black Muslims, right? You said there were cowards earlier on.
Many are, not all, but many.
Well,
many
the ones that won't bring this stuff up. What I've noticed is that so many black Muslims, specifically the people that convert late, not the ones that were kind of raised Muslim.
Okay, yeah.
I call them, a lot of them are the prison Muslims.
Yeah, the prison Negroes.
They're prison Negroes. And those people have so much, I've noticed they've got so much smoke for other black people, right?
Yeah.
It's like they would kill other black people, maim other black people, but the second you ask them to actually confront their Arab imam or their Pakistani imam about this stuff, they turn into a little puppy and they won't do it.
Yeah, because you see what it is, it's like there is a hierarchy and many people know it. Not everyone really wants to talk about it, but there is a hierarchy, because even when I've spoken to Pakistani apostates, they say that there's a hierarchy. And there's a good few Pakistani apostates out there, even Afghan, also Somali.
Interesting.
I was speaking with some yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. I was speaking with them, so yeah, it's a thing where, like, what people don't understand is the only place where you can openly buy a black slave today
is in the
Muslim world.
That's correct.
Right? Now, a lot of people will deflect and tell you about the white man.
Yes, they will.
The white man.
Which can be spoken about. I don't have a problem speaking about it.
Neither do I.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But, on average, the white man stopped slavery at least 120, 100, to 140 years.
Great Britain, it was abolished in 1833, I believe.
Exactly. So it's, we're talking on something that is actually happening now. So we see when they're deflecting, it's just ridiculous, because let's deal with this topic first, then we can come to that topic.
What I noticed when I was at Speaker's Corner, you actually attend Speaker's Corner now. Well, I've seen you attend there. I haven't attended Speaker's Corner in about 5 years, right? I said what I needed to say while I was down there, and I bounced, right? The videos are still there. I think there's over like 100 of my debates there, on YouTube right now. So when people say, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about," and blah blah blah, it's like, you don't know my history.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But I would ask you, how has Speaker's Corner changed from the time that I was there to the time that you're there now?
I can't necessarily give an exact answer, because I don't necessarily know how it was at that time. I didn't watch so many other videos. But this is one thing that I do know. There is people in the park who want the slave trade, because under Sharia law, yes, they want the slave trade.
Wait, the slave trade?
Yes.
They want slavery to come back?
Yeah, because under Sharia, it's allowing of slave trade, sex slavery, and even child marriage. Right? So yes, I've heard people in the park openly say that, they would have no problem with this being here. They would have no problem with sex slavery, because it's all under Sharia.
Interesting.
But I've seen people openly saying this. So I've seen a few people in person, but I've seen debates, for example, like with Bob, where people openly saying that they have no issue with this.
Interesting.
I've seen it.
Let's watch another video quickly. I want to get your view. Jesse, can we play the second video, please?
Black citizens often experience verbal abuse. We also discovered cases where racial prejudice had led to physical violence.
On May 21st, 2016, we were married and it was the happiest day of our lives.
But the year leading up to it was the hardest year we'd ever experienced. We endured emotional, mental, and physical trauma.
Racial slurs, death threats, and slander from some of those closest to us.
And we're told to give up on each other based solely on our difference of skin tone and background. I had a loaded gun pressed to the back of my head after being asked simply, "Do you want to marry this guy?"
Brothers, we're not black. Let's stop talking like we're black.
Welcome, I was sold. So after I was sold, they will ask me to they demand a ransom. 3 months, they will start beating you. From a week, they will start beating you so that your money will come quickly. So I was there for 8 months before I could pay my money and I went out. Merciless beating. If you look at most of the people here, if you check their body, you see the mark, they're beating. With electric. Even your boot, they took something like a sharp object. Understand? Most of them lost their life there.
Sexual assault.
Jeez, man.
I saw that
Jeez,
video
bro.
before, though. I did see it.
So they had Tunisia in there. I think they had parts of Libya. They had Nigeria in there.
Yeah, so those were the Nigerians that went to Libya and they were captured as slaves in the
So this is still
slave
going on
markets
today, though. Ben.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, this is what's happening to black people today, and no one speaks about this, bro.
Yeah. I think we need to be speaking about this a lot more, because if I'm being honest, when I went to the park, I was embarrassed that you have a white man openly saying, what the hell is going on here? You don't see any blacks doing that. Black people don't want to talk about
They don't
that
want to
topic.
talk about it, no.
But I said, I'm going to. If no black people will, I will.
Yeah.
Why will I do it? Whether I believe that I'm the same as them or the same exact ethnic group or not, for the mere fact that you have a people that want to enslave someone because they are black.
Yes.
Now, I come from the slave trade as a West Indian black, so I know
the European Christian one.
Yeah. So I know this history. And the funny thing is, because you'd have some people from West Africa, like even the other day, a guy told me that, oh, well, you don't know where you're from, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that when you have some black people, other groups going for us, I'm saying you have a whole slave trade going on right now.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Why won't you speak about that?
No. It's because, in my personal point of view, it's because black people are kind of conditioned to hate other black people. And there's something that we have to speak about, I think, with other with black people, that we find it very easily to kill other black people. It doesn't matter. You can see it on, that's why they quote unquote black on black crime, right? They have this this thing about black on black crime. And it's like black people find it so easy to kill other black people. And it means that they have low self-esteem. And one of the things that I don't know if you've come across it, when I was debating Muslims, black Muslims specifically, what they would do, and also the Arabs do it, they would try and pull Bilal out to quell you.
Yes.
So if people don't know who Bilal is, so Bilal
I like to really get into that.
Right. Yeah. So Bilal in Islam was a black slave who went to go and Mohammed took him in, and apparently he became the first call to prayer.
Yeah.
And so what they say is that, Islam can't be racist, Muhammad can't be racist, because Bilal was his right hand man. And it's like, my rebuttal to that is, we've all seen, I don't know if you have seen actually, Django.
Yes. So you're saying Bilal was like a coon?
He was Stephen.
Yeah, a coon.
He was a coon. He was Leonardo DiCaprio's coon, right? And he was allowed in the house. He could eat with him. He could do all the stuff that, the other black people couldn't do, right? And Leonardo DiCaprio would speak so highly of Stephen. But what it shows is that, how must black people's self-esteem be so low that they can quell you with a slave story?
Yes,
they can stop you speaking with a slave story.
What I notice is that a lot of Arabs will very quickly tell me about Bilal.
They love it.
They do it the quickest. They love it. And some Pakistanis who are wannabe Arabs, because they're not Arabs. They're just, you could say, watered down Dravidians. But you see, the thing is, though, this is the problem that we're having here with this Bilal ibn Rabah story. Bilal, his father was an Arab. Many people don't know that. Look it up. So
he was mixed.
Yeah, but this is the issue. In Abrahamic faiths and religions, you are
who your father is.
So therefore, he was an Arab.
Correct. You are who your father is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I could agree with that, because the seed of the man and all that. So then the thing is that he would be named after his father's tribe. So that one doesn't wash with me.
That's
It
very
really
interesting.
doesn't.
That's very interesting. I call a lot of these black Muslims nowadays the modern day Bilals, because they feel like they are so. They feel like they're special because they're under this Arab tutelage.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what Bilal must have felt.
Yeah. Well, this is the issue, though. All right. I can do some more research on it, but I'm hearing that when he did call the Adhan, he was still a slave.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing. He was still a slave. And it's not very hard to believe, because when you see the trade of 2 blacks to redeem an Arab, then this wouldn't surprise me.
Contradictory, because if you go back to the first video, when the woman said, "Oh yeah, it's people," and she acknowledges that there is racism,
yeah,
but she blames it on people. But I'm saying, if it is your prophet doing it, if your prophet is trading 2 for 1 on black slaves, buy 1 get 1 free, basically some BOGOF deal, right, on black people, right? How is it now? It's a BOGOF.
Yeah, that was funny, bro.
Buy 1 get 1
funny,
free. I'm not, slavery is not something to joke about.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what he's doing. Is that buy 1 get 1 free?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
If that's what he's doing, that means it's at the essence and at the core of what this thing is.
Yeah, it's from the beginning. Well, it's like when you look at even from the beginning, they've had slaves. They went through the whole of Africa. They went to Europe as well, but the thing is that the black slaves, they were treated worse, and most of them were castrated. Yeah, most of them were castrated. And well, there's another topic we're going to get into, so I'm going to explain more in the the P. We started with the P.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesse, on these slides, there's a second slide I'd want to read. Okay, it's a white one. It's like a white background. Yes, if that is cool, I'm going to read that. And it says, one of the last signs of the day of resurrection is the destruction of the Kaaba by Zul Sawakatan. He is from Ethiopia.
Yeah, Abyssinia, Ethiopia.
And he will destroy the Kaaba in order to steal its treasure. And Kiswa, the Kaaba's cover. The Kaaba is a holy shrine for Muslims located at the center of the main mosque of Mecca. So a black guy from Africa, an Ethiopian, is going to be the one to destroy the most sacred symbol of Islam. A black man's going to do it.
Yeah, well.
So I'll give you a scenario then. I know give people scenarios. So people are at Hajj. They know this information. There's some black people around the Kaaba. How do you think they're viewed? Because everyone knows that it's going to be these types of people that's going to destroy it.
Yeah, the blacks or
someone blackish like this is going to.
Well, actually, even from many years ago, regularly there's been things like rioting in Mecca. There's been sexual assault there, and even finding semen on women's clothing there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So what the issue is when they've had these problems, so not the sexual assault, but more the rioting and people punching and kicking people. Many a time they tried to blame the blacks. But I'm saying blacks,
the black blacks.
Nigerian,
Mali,
yes,
Guinea,
those type of people with our features. Yeah. So, I think it's a hypocrisy because many people try and deflect you onto the white man. But here we have this group doing really the same thing as the white man, if not worse. Well, I'd say worse in many cases.
Well, if anyone knows the history of it, the Arabs came into Africa 642.
Yes,
around
AD. This time.
Around about 642 AD.
Yeah, or 670 maximum.
Yeah, the British started there. Oh, sorry. The European started with the Portuguese in the 1400s. So from the 642 to the 1400s is what? About roughly 800 years, right? So the Arabs had an 800-year head start on slavery of black people.
Yeah, and many of them are proud of it. But many of them don't act as if it never happened. It's plain like takia, these kind of tricks. Because you see, when they're speaking with some black people, they believe that we're losers, we don't know anything.
A lot of it's subconscious, though.
Yes. You see, once I get into a few topics with them and I bring evidence, I bring proof, many things, then you see them smiling.
Because they're like, oh,
that's it.
He's not one of these dumb blacks.
Yeah, he's not like the regular blacks. That's how they're seeing it.
Yeah, he's not one of them dumb ones.
So, and it's not just with them. I would say some other Middle Eastern groups. I'll leave most Iranians out of it. They're a bit different. But I would say like some types of Kurdish and just some other groups that you have situated in that Middle Eastern region, But yeah, they can't play that game on me. I know what's going on.
What do you think then of the whole Palestine situation?
Very good question.
Go on.
Okay, so let me make this very clear. I'm not saying what's going on in Palestine is good. And, children and things like that, that's not good either. But let us be very clear. Even before I get into some Palestine history, Hamas on October 7th has taken sex slaves. Now, for me, why I will not support Palestine, and majority of Palestinian people from the research, they're supporting
Hamas. A Zionist.
Yeah, no, nothing to do with them, because they're a lot of them are thieves as well. A lot of the people in Palestine support Hamas, and Hamas use their own people as human shields. Now, the reason why I wouldn't support the Palestine, nor do I wish for any black to support them, Palestinian Arabs, right? And these people are not indigenous to this region. They're originally from Arabia. They took black slaves, right? They snatched black slaves from places like Sudan and some other neighboring regions. And to this day in Palestine, they separate themselves away from the black Palestinians. And they call them Abid. Now, this will be a bit controversial, but I'm going to say anyway. So you have that guy who is the son of Hamas.
Yes, he's been around. I forget his name.
Yeah, something,
But he's been
Yusuf Mossab, something like that.
Yes.
And he's condemned Hamas. But what I want to focus on, because some people say he's set up by the white man or the white Jewish man, whatever. This is what I want to focus on. He said himself that they're going around all the time calling the black people Abid.
What does Abid mean for the people that don't know?
It means slave. Literally, it means a slave. Now, you can you can look this up. I'll give you the link to show people where the black people of Palestine have spoken out. And
against this?
Yes, and they've said that the Arab people separate away from them and look down on them. And they said...
In Palestine?
Yes, and they call them Abid. So the thing is, we can talk about the white Jewish man, but then the Arab man there has taken them into slavery.
Interesting.
And calls them a slave to this day.
Interesting.
So we have to be consistent in what we're saying.
No, and most people get told that Zionists bad, Palestine good, so we must support them.
No, we shouldn't support either.
Right.
We should not support either. The white Jewish man, I'm not letting them off the hook either. Right? The white Jewish man, remember, these are two groups of people fighting for a land that they don't even come from.
Well, I've spoken about Cerberus, but that's a whole another day, but go on.
But the thing is like we've been duped. So our anger that we have had, because of slavery and this and that, and we know that some of those so-called Jewish people, they had a hand in the slave trade as well. We know that. But
when you say so-called, why do you say so-called?
I don't see them to be the original people of Israel. They're a mixture of Europeans and Turkic tribes. Turkic people originate in Asia. We can make some argument that they mixed in with some black women who originated in that land, but by the Abrahamic faiths, then they still wouldn't be native to that land then.
Interesting.
They'd be of Turkic and European origins.
Okay.
So they don't originate there.
Okay.
Yeah, nor do the Arabs. Even in the Quran as well, the Quran said it was the children of Israel who were to take the land.
So whose land is it?
It's not theirs. It's not theirs. Yeah, it's not theirs. It's not theirs. And many people know this. Many people in the Middle East know that they're not from there. And the thing is, as well, is that many other Arabs don't even support them. Which Arab country has taken them in?
Well, Egypt kicked them out. Egypt
built
a border and was like, you guys ain't coming in here.
There you go.
Why?
Well, you see, the thing is, because my thought is that when you look at even within the religion, I don't even know if it's always benefiting even of the Muslim people.
What do you mean?
And especially black Muslim people. Because when you look at a lot of things that's going on in those regions of the Middle East, they don't flee to other Middle Eastern countries.
No.
They flee here.
They flee to the Western countries.
Either Christian or secular.
Countries,
yeah. Because here it is actually secular realistically at the moment. So it doesn't work.
Interesting.
I don't see anywhere in
it's
the world.
It's a controversial view, you know that.
It is, you know, but I'm, you know, this is just from my observation. But I just think, especially with the black people, they've been pushed right at the bottom. Because what I've said to some black Muslims is, don't tell me about Palestine. Tell me about the blacks who are being enslaved
in Palestine.
Yeah,
or
in Africa,
or in general.
Yeah,
they're not going to do that.
But you see what I'm saying? So
because it's not affecting them. It's putting them in a supreme power position over people. Like everyone talks about when they're being oppressed. No one talks about when they're doing the oppressing. You see, that's just general human beings. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't expect Arabs or Pakistani people to talk about the Arab Muslim slave trade against black people. What I expect is for black people like you and I to speak about it. Do you know what I mean? Just like Palestinians are supposed to speak about Palestine, Jewish people are supposed to speak about Israel. We are supposed to speak about our own problems. But we're here scared.
I will tell you something though.
Go on.
There's apostate Arabs and apostate Pakistanis who speak about it.
Really?
Yeah, I've met some of them.
Let's talk about the term apostate. Some people don't know what apostate means. What does apostate mean?
It's someone who leaves their religion. But especially like within the Muslim religion, when someone's leaving their religion, they can be killed. Now, some will say that
is that lawful?
According to Hadith, yes.
Are there any countries that enforce that law?
Yes, Iran is one of them. Right? Most Iranians, they're not even Muslims anyway, really. But they just put it down on paper so that they won't get arrested. Pakistan, I know that in certain places, if you're going around saying that you're
not Muslim,
you can be killed. And I've spoken to Pakistanis and they agreed on this. But what I know is there's up to about 12 to 13 countries in the world that identify as Muslim and have that element of Sharia law in place where they can be murdered. If you leave this religion. Yes.
So then that to me is not a religion. That to me is a gang.
Okay.
Because blood in, blood out is something that we know.
Yes, like a Mexican
like
cartel.
Mexico, like, you know, the mafia. The only way you're getting out is by blood. It's the only way you're getting out. That's to me is not a religion. That's a gang. Because people can leave Judaism, not be threatened to be killed. People can leave Christianity, not be threatened to be killed. Sikhism, Hinduism. But if you are threatening me to die because I want to change, basically I want to change my mind. I decided to change my mind. You're going to kill me.
Yeah. Well, you know, so some may question and say, well, is the religion that good? If it's that good, you don't need to kill people who leave it.
You don't need to force someone to be here.
Yeah. And I was watching, there's a Christian Somali channel. And
Christian Somali channel?
Yes.
God damn, that must get a lot of hate.
Yes, I'm going to do an interview with them because I'm finding this interesting and I'm wondering how it is that they've come to be Christian.
Somali Christians?
Yes, Somali Christians.
Somalis are staunch Muslims, generally.
Yes and no. So what the guy is telling me, on his channel, they have 95,000 followers.
Interesting.
And the channel
is in silent.
It's in Somali. No, they've come out. They have their YouTube videos.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the followers. You can't go in Somalia and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm a Christian."
Oh no,
and it'd be okay.
But there's a hidden group of them in Somalia.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
What it is that The guy was saying, so first his wife left the religion. And then she came to him saying that, you know, she had a dream and this, that, and she has left this because that religion is not a right way. It's not a right way for humans. And then he said something like he went to his...
Stuck for Allah.
Well, I'm not involved. Yeah. But yeah, so he went to his family and said, hey, what's going on? Like, my wife has changed this, that. So they gave him two options: to take the children and leave. This is what I'm remembering.
Oh, wow.
Take the children and leave, or that he must kill her.
Well,
And then,
I was going to say, you're not going to kill his wife, but you just never know.
Yeah. So he was saying, like he started to question. He said, something here isn't right. Should I kill my wife who I've loved and had children with? Something stopped him from, you know, taking any action or removing the children from her or whatever, because the family is now going to be split. And then after some time, he left as well.
Interesting.
And then what I noticed with a lot of the apostates, they start doing a lot more research after they've left.
Yes.
And they're finding out so much information. Yeah, you can type in YouTube, Christian Somali TV.
Interesting. You were talking earlier on about Somalians, so you had a very interesting point that you wanted to make about Somalis.
Okay.
If you want.
Yeah. Not all. It's not all. I don't believe it is all. But
these are other views and opinions of Ben.
Yeah. So a lot of Somali people, from what I see and research, a good amount of them have an anti-black sentiment.
Interesting.
Very anti-black sentiment.
Do you think that comes from Islam, or do you think it comes from their tribal?
It's from two things, but it's merged together.
Right. Okay.
So my understanding is, like, I was led on to some information that a good amount of them are descendants of like Dalits and other East Indians. And what's happened is they were chased out of India by the Brahmins. So when they came into Africa now, because they knew of how to get there, because they had done trade for centuries, they mixed in with some of the indigenous blacks. So that's why when you look at some of them have Afro hair. So I'm not saying all of them. There's some which I believe are still indigenous black or indigenous to the region.
Right.
But what a lot of people don't know is that when you had the Arab Muslim slave trade, Somali people enslaved black people. If you look at, there's a group called Somali Bantu. And
it's happening now with the Janjaweed. In Sudan.
Yes.
In Sudan. You're getting the Arabi black enslaving the original black.
Yeah, and like they're dark, they're tall, you can tell those Sudanese straight, kind of looking like Mark Morrison.
Yeah,
or Tyrese.
Yeah.
So yes, some of the history of Somalia is that some of them did actually enslave the blacks. They're known as Somali Bantu. Now, my understanding is, I'm going to do some more research, but what I'm hearing is that within the Somali Bantu, it's two groups. One is claiming to be indigenous to Somalia, and then the other one has come from places like, where is it? Around Rwanda and Malawi. And they were taken there by the Arab Muslims, because from Somalia, it's the Horn of Africa, so you can easily go into the Middle East.
It's the furthest east.
And some were dropped into India.
Right.
And they're known as the Siddhis, so you find them in modern-day Pakistan and parts of India.
Interesting.
Yeah. But in Somalia, what's going on is they are stealing the land of the blacks there. And even when they had one of their wars, they pushed a lot of the Somali Bantu into the front line. A lot of people don't know this history. So let me make this very clear, because some people, they try to get emotional. Oh, you hate this, you this.
Yeah, you sound like you hate Somalis now.
No, it's not about hate. It's about presenting facts. Right? For example, I have my own West Indian group. I'm the first one to condemn certain nonsense you see West Indians doing. So yeah, it's not about hate. It's just about presenting the facts.
Jesse, what we're gonna do? Yeah, Jesse. Yeah, don't sleep. Could we play the third video, please? No, I don't know.
Arab superiority complex that's inherent within traditional Islam. It's both. It's both, because they've come here and they see themselves as, okay, on one side, religiously, I should try and be Arab because that's a higher culture and anything less is a lower culture. That's why you see a lot of these Asian brothers that you're getting married, but you're playing fartaki and all these Arab nasheeds with the humming sound and the at your wedding, like you don't have a culture. You're getting married, and do you know what I mean? Because you have inferiority complex towards Arab culture, and when you go to Arab weddings, they're turning up, they're dabkaying and doing everything. So what's your beef? And they're dancing with swords. So what's your beef? Number one, they've internalized from an Islamic perspective Arab superiority, then from a neo-colonial perspective white superiority. So if your decent cultures are Arab cultures and white cultures, anything other than that is lower, is lesser, it's not decent, and it's something that they shouldn't be aspiring to be. And that's a major problem.
Let's talk about the traditional Islam and how it's been rooted in
Arab superiority.
Yeah,
but did we even give the thing to Mohammed to speak? Let me clarify, because there's always people in the comments that are saying, these brothers always like to speak about Islam, but they don't have any Islamic knowledge. They don't have any Islamic background. Oh, they need to study first. Mohammed has been studying Arabic, Islamic studies, Quran, Tafsir, Hadith, Usul, Sirah, Fiqh for the past 3-4 years. Intensely, he's been in Egypt for 2 years at Jamiat al-Azhar, which is like one of the best places to study Islam in the world. So when he's talking about Islam, he knows what he's talking about. I've sat with sheikhs as well. I've studied in Mauritania, I've studied in Senegal, etc. When we speak about Islam, we're not just out here picking up translations of Sahih Bukhari like a lot of you and copy and pasting hadith from alislam.com and posting it in the thing. We know what we're talking about when we're talking, yeah? So don't at us, innit? Go on, okay.
No, I was thinking there's a few there's a few issues here. So obviously,
let's get that real quick. Sorry.
You're gonna have people quote, love the Arabs for 3 things. Because the Quran was in Arabic, it was revealed in the Arabian Peninsula, and Prophet wasn't Arab. You're gonna get that. People are gonna say that. And some scholars in the history of Islam have used that to say, look at this, there's Arab superiority in Islam. That hadith is weak. That's the first issue, yeah? Then you're gonna have fatwa that say, in the tradition, that say the dowry of a black woman is less because she's less desirable. And
traditional
wait, let me continue. The dowry of a black woman is less because she's less desirable. And
traditional
wait, let me continue, please. And a black woman doesn't need a wali because she can't get married, basically, because she finds it difficult to get married. So to make it easier,
that is found where.
That's social culture.
No, please.
That's social culture. Like the black woman doesn't have to wear niqab.
Oh yeah, not wearing niqab as well.
That is found where? This traditional text. Which ones?
Shafi madhab. Some in the Maliki school as well. Which I would say. Hanbali madhab.
So that's a reflection of the society.
So the sickness is
it's not a reflection of a religion or anything like that. It's a reflection of the society that they were in and the failures that they, unfortunately,
these individuals
probably failed to.
No, but the thing is, what's scary is that it's just come back full circle how people can use religion and some texts in religion and justify their racism. And they won't call it racist. They don't call it spiritual complex. Say, oh, hang on a minute. Prophet was Arab. Ergo, he was the best of creation. Ergo, we're the best people. That's not the case in Islam. And there's so many other things we can go into, like, you know.
You weren't doing too well before the Prophet came.
Exactly.
Black Muslims know that it's racist.
Of course they know.
That was an all-Muslim panel, you know.
Oh, they were the guy there. He's from maybe Senegal,
probably, but that was an all-Muslim panel, and that's what they were saying about things in Islam where a black woman's her dowry, it should be less than other women
because she's black.
Well, it was a black woman. It was specified.
Well, you see, the thing is, we got to look at it like this. And this is one thing I've realized. There's a lot of other ethnicities, and I'm saying non-black ethnicities, that believe that when they're getting with us, they're doing us a favor.
Yes, 100%.
They're not doing us a favor. Genetically, we're doing them a favor. Genetically.
What do you mean?
Well, you see, when you look at certain groups of people, like, For example, they say the black genetic is one of the strongest genetics.
No, it is. It's the original genetic.
Yeah. So that's number one.
That's not an argument for superiority. That's just an argument from fact.
Yeah. But then number two as well, remember some of these people in some of these regions of the world, I remember you were speaking about, and a lot of them are practicing incest.
A lot of these people are products of consanguinity. That's
a
what
nice
it's called.
technical
Yeah, it's
term,
called
yeah.
consanguinity. They are basically products of inbreeding.
Yeah. So how are they doing us a favor going with us?
You got a point. I'm just...
The other question is, when a lot of these ethnicities think that they're doing us a favor, what have they done for us? Arabs haven't helped us to become rich.
They said that you're allowed to follow their religion. That's what they do, because they're superior, obviously, right? And they're allowing you, the lowly black, right, who doesn't know much, right? You're just running around a campfire, weren't you, with a bone in your nose, to follow their religion. And that is literally, that is what they say without saying it to me.
But this is the problem. If their stuff is so good,
why people leaving?
Yeah. But not just that, though. Why is it that many of them leave from their places in the Middle East to come to Europe?
Secular countries.
Oh, yeah, secular countries. Because even like some might say, oh, we're going to Turkey. Turkey is secular.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is actually.
It's secular.
It is now. It is actually.
I worked with some Turks. The Turks I worked with, they have no interest in this religion. I'm not going to say any names, but some of them even told me it's bullshit. So, you know, I've been around some of them. So, like, at the end of the day, if this thing is, because I'm just somewhat convinced that it just doesn't work.
The actual ideology.
Yeah, I'm just believing
why
it doesn't.
Why do you think it doesn't work? Because it's been around for 1400 years. Yeah. So
there's a lot of barbaric things, and it's got no place in, especially in our society over here.
Like,
for example, like. I was speaking with a Muslim the other day, and he even said that there's something dodgy going on, and he doesn't agree with it either. When people tell you that as soon as a girl hits puberty, you can marry her. And he said he has no place to, he will never agree with this.
So you can hit puberty around 9, 10.
Yes,
11.
Between those ages 9 to 13.
But for people, this is one of the arguments that I had when I was speaking about what their prophet done with Aisha, right? So for people that know and don't know, their prophet married Aisha when she was 6.
6, yeah.
He had sex with her when she was 9.
Yes, it says this in Hadith. I read it.
It says it in the Hadith. Many they all confirm it.
Original scholars, not the modernist liberals.
They all confirm it. And so what we know today is that puberty is a minimum 4-year process.
I'd say 4 to 8 years.
Yeah, that's a minimum. 4.
Yeah, minimum.
Minimum
100%. I agree.
Minimum 4, and during that time, breasts are growing, hips are growing,
birth canals,
all of that. And it's like you're telling me, like, this is where your mind is. You're telling me that if somebody didn't have a period, they're 9, for instance, and they've had a period on Sunday, but on Monday they have it. So they start their first period. 7-day cycle comes back. It's Monday again. You're telling me that person's ready for penetration?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's nonsense, because remember, like, so saying like there's a chance they can get pregnant, it's just wrong. This is called child marriage, and it's abuse of children. And I spoke to some Muslims, and they actually don't agree with this.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I spoke to many Muslims who's not agreeing. They're mainly black Muslims, though.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's some woman.
Ali Dawah, the famous Ali Dawah, said that he would actually give his child for at 9. He would actually allow her to get married.
He said 11, somewhere around.
Yeah, he would allow her to get married at that age.
You see, the thing is, Bob from Speaker's Corner made a point, and I thought he was slightly harsh at the beginning, where he said, we're better off without people like this in our society. He's saying anyone who's wanting child marriage, just deport them, or put them in prison, or put them in a mental institution. Right? Because I think when you have an ideology where you're saying that as soon as a girl hits puberty, you can marry them,
she's ready.
That in itself is problematic.
Because I always wonder to myself, well, not always, but I wonder when people speak about that. This is what I used to have when I used to debate them. And I used to bring this up and I used to be like, okay, so she was 9 when he consummated the marriage. Yeah, because she had hit puberty. And I said, okay, cool. What men are visual creatures. So when we get attracted to a woman, it's normally because there's something on her body that's attractive to us. Breasts, bum, thighs, blah, blah. I said, what is attractive on a 9-year-old's body? How do you get yourself aroused by looking at a 9-year-old girl?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. And this is the issue we have here as well, though, because some people try to make an outlandish, ridiculous claim to say, oh, well, in that time, she could have been an adult. Listen, there's even Muslim women that have said, no, that's a lie. You're removing the humanity of a child.
Correct.
Give you an example. So there is a Inca girl they dug up. I believe it's about 2,000 years old, estimated. And say she's around 12 years old. You know, she looks no different from a 12-year-old today. And that's around 2,000, maybe more than 2,000 years old. Now,
as in bone structure-wise?
Yeah, just how she looks physically. Because most of the body's actually still intact. And they look like regular. So for people who don't know, the Incas are the people who are a South American civilization and predominantly spanning around like Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, and some parts of Colombia. She looks no different from a 12-year-old
today.
Yeah. And the other issue that we're finding, so when you look within Sharia law, when you are meant to separate children from the beds, it's 10 years old. Right? In Hadith, it says Aisha was playing with her dolls.
It does.
And in Islam, this is like idolatry. It was permissible for her because she was a child.
Yes.
Case is closed.
We got one more video to watch before we have to jump out of here. Jesse, could you play the last video? We'll talk about this last video.
Despite stories of abuse, thousands of women from Kenya and Ghana still sign up with recruitment agencies, like this one in Jordan.
ماشي الحال؟ لا والله احنا على تركيز السوق الاردني على الغنيات بالدرجه الاولى احسن من كينيا، انا بالنسبه لي احسن من كينيا؟ احسن من كينيا. احنا كينيا احلى. لا انا بقول لك هلا شوف الكينيه تعليمها اعلى، هدول شعب لهم بيضوا هارد وركر. انا بعثت لك اخر جروب وصل شو محلاهم؟ ايه هودي وصلني 11 بنت اياها. ايه بعقد شو هي هيك يوصلوا كميه غير شكل. You are welcome here. And you have a good choice that you have Mr. Yusuf. He's one of the best agencies in Jordan.
Thank you, Dad. Yeah. You must call his dad.
Lily, thank you. حبيبي بلشنا. I appreciate. Thank you very much. And you too also so beautiful, really.
Thank you.
The abuse does happen, often behind closed doors and usually unreported. Some women, though, escape to safe houses, like this Caritas center in Lebanon, where they are free to tell their stories.
He came where I was sleeping and he told me, I want you. And I told him, no, I can't, I'm married. And he told me, you're in my house, you have to obey my roles in this house. I was feeling confused, even I was wishing I would die. I was hurt. I don't remember it.
Marivik? Give me lighter. I don't think there is a human rights in this world. No way. Maybe in Europe, but not in the Middle East.
Oh my God, the guy said there's no human rights, only in Europe, not in the Middle East.
Yeah.
That's what he said, as he's recruiting these women for work.
Yeah, because he's probably trying to find out the best way to rape them. Right? Now, I'm not saying anything that is outlandish because around 2 weeks ago, I was debating a Iranian. He's Kurdish. And there was an Iraqi guy, Iraqi Arabs as well. And I was showing them a scripture where it's saying that you should not beat your wife as you beat a slave. And I was saying I could understand why a lot of people from these regions are becoming atheists. Right? And he was really fighting hard to defend this.
But you have to understand, they have to, because they believe that their prophet is perfect.
Yeah. But the thing is, he's also defending it. It's not just because of that. It's because someone like him, he wants to beat his wife. So let's connect everything together. If some of these people
are consigned, are results of consanguinity. Yeah.
And in some of these cultures, they're used to beating their wives. And then also within the and there is a scripture as well which is saying that you can beat her if she disobeys you.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you have the anti-black sentiment.
Yep.
So that means that the black woman would get it double as hard from these ethnic groups in the Middle East. So it just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like this doctrine is for black people.
Why? I was about to say, why would black people follow something like this?
It's a good question. Well, there's a guy that I follow on Instagram. His name is Eunice Rocks, the Iranian guy.
Yes.
I've tagged you in some of his posts. He says he doesn't even know why a woman
would be
a Muslim. He's Iranian. He's from the Middle East. So it seems like it would be even worse for a black woman to follow this. Each to their own. People are allowed to believe.
I can't tell people what to follow. I can only give the information, and that's what we've done today.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I've given information today. People have to make their own decisions. It's my view that if you're black and you follow this ideology, knowing its anti-black sentiment, looking at the history of it, looking at the way it treats black men and black women, looking at the fact that you were traded 2 for 1, looking at the fact that you're the one that's going to be the one to destroy their most sacred symbol, looking at all of this stuff, I find it hard as to why black people would follow it, but they do.
Yeah, but
but sorry to cut you, they're not told about these things. You see,
yes,
this video right here is actually telling them. Most people have not heard of this stuff.
Yeah, so I'll explain why. For example, say you're selling a car. Are you going to tell people all the faults in your car? You're not. You're going to tell them the good bits of the car, and then as they start using the car, the windscreen doesn't come down very well. The radio doesn't work as well. One of the speakers at the back is busted.
It's busted out.
After like 2-3 weeks, they start to see some faults.
There's the oil tank's got a hole in it.
Yeah, but it seems like with the religious indoctrination, it's not been a few weeks. It's been a few years, a few hundred years,
a few hundred,
even
a thousand,
1,000 years. So it's been a long time, and it's like what people try and do as well. Because there was a guy from Pakistan, he tried to pull a fast one on me. Not saying all Pakistani people are like this, but just speaking about him. So he tried to tell me about Malcolm X.
Yeah, they always do that. Malcolm X and Martin and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, but Malcolm X was committing shirk.
Essentially, because he was from the NOI.
Yeah, he was committing shirk.
Yeah, he was from the NOI first.
So I said to him, "Stop telling me about Malcolm X. You're only interested in him because he was a Muslim. So you're trying to further your agenda."
Do you know what it is? I've actually got a super chat from Nick Concord Elas, right? Which, shout out Nick. He actually says green and blacks. Green
or Greek?
Oh, sorry, my eye. Sorry, Greeks and blacks united by 400 years under Islam, under Muslim tyranny.
Okay, yes, because of the Ottoman Turks.
The Ottoman.
Yes, went to suppress some peoples in the.
So me asking why they would still follow this, is that because do you think black Muslims are united under tyranny?
Yes and no, because they're not even really united. Because a black Muslim will prefer an Arab over another black Muslim.
You said that, not me.
Yeah, many will, not all, but many will. I've seen it so many times before. It's just, yeah. I don't know. I don't think this thing works. Looking at the evidence, it doesn't work.
All right. Before because we got to get off air.
Yeah.
Before we go, what would be your closing thoughts?
My closing thought is that if you have a black person who is angry at what the white Europeans did, you know, in the slave trade and the, you know, Christian indoctrination, because even a lot of the stuff, it doesn't even say it on the Bible, right? But if they're angry because of that, then I would say that they would need to go and research.
Don't worry, I'm a producer.
The Arab Muslim history, right? And we'd have to find out, was it a true and honest conversion? For example, you had Danny Williams, who became a Muslim. Yes,
right,
who became a Muslim. And I heard that he was saying, oh, well, you know, it's because Europeans enslaved us under Christianity. And
which means he doesn't know the history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening, though, is a lot of black people don't want to know the history, because I think it's more to go on the white man. But because you've got a brown man that is doing so, they're like, no, well, he can't be racist.
Yeah.
And
but he's not brown, he's white.
Well,
according to their own Hadith.
Yes, it does say.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But the thing is, did this man even exist?
I don't know. That's probably something we will have to do a part 2, because we got to roll out. Listen, Ben, man, thank you for coming, bro.
Yeah.
I think your insight has been insightful. I think when it comes to this thing, like I said before, it's something that black people need to speak about. It's something that they need to start speaking about more so. And we need to stop being quote unquote cowards, as you said.
And I would say they need to do more research on this thing, not just from someone who is coming with Muslim propaganda, but do real research, do real historical research of what was going on at this time. Okay. And then you'll find out so much more information.
All righty. Listen, folks, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good show. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Do you know what I'm saying? I enjoyed it personally. Jesse's shaking his head saying he didn't enjoy it, but then no one cares about Jesse. Too many black people, he said. All right, folks, listen, enjoy yourself. Speak to you soon. Catch you on the flip side.